Sometimes eBay gets you, and sometimes you get eBay. This time I got eBay. Now, you'll see most of these on Trek Toys already, but there are some unusual ones here, and the story behind me getting these is even more unusual because this auction popped up on eBay and I looked at it quite briefly to start with, and I thought, that looks sort of interesting. It's there were two Starships pictured from Diamond Select. I thought, I think I've got both of those, I think. And I thought, wow, that's quite a big price for just two ships. I wonder what's going on here. So I opened the auction, and I discovered that the auction was not for just two ships. It was for 17 ships. That's 17. And then I thought, that's actually a remarkably reasonable price for 17 Diamond Select and Playmates Starships of varying types and sizes, and also a shuttlecraft CD holder. Yes. And I realised that it was collection only, which of course made perfect sense because it was a huge collection. 17 ships takes up a lot of space, especially when the vast majority are boxed. And they were in a place called Redditch. And I didn't really know where Redditch was. I'd heard of it. I didn't know, I couldn't swear to knowing where it was, so I looked it up. Turns out, Redditch is just south of Birmingham. And I was going down to Birmingham completely by chance the very next weekend. So I thought to myself, surely I could, given that I'm going down on the Saturday for the toy fair on the Sunday, couldn't I go to Redditch, if the gentleman is around, to collect these and put them in the boot of my car and then take them to the toy fair with me and then take them home. And that is exactly what I did. And the guy was a lovely chap. I even got an offer on the starting price on the buy it now, just when I started watching, which is sometimes the way, but for this I really wasn't sure that was going to happen. And basically he just wanted to clear all these out. He needed the space, and he needed to move them on. But this is only a fraction of his collection. I mean, he had some awesome stuff. He's met most of the main Star Trek cast members in the flesh, so I've now shaken the hand that has shaken many other important hands from Trek history, basically. And he had his like Cardassian hand phases and Battlestar Galactica stuff as well. Just a lot of stuff. So in terms of what I've picked up here, as I say, I've got this shuttlecraft CD holder, which amuses me because it's actually a really good looking shuttlecraft. So I'm going to have a look at that. I've got what you might think are 3 Excelsiors. And you'd be 2/3 correct, because what I've actually got is the Enterprise B battle damaged. I don't get the battle damaged ones generally because they're just a way for them to make more money, quite frankly. So I don't normally bother with them, but because it was part of the collection, obviously I had to take it, so I have. But what I've noticed is that this battle damaged B has a slightly different saucer section to the USS Excelsior NCC 2000, which I already have. But then I also noticed that he had this, and this is an NX 2000, and I thought, surely they've just mislabeled it or something, but it is slightly different. It's different to the B, and it's different to the NCC 2000, so this is the one that appears in Star Trek 3, according to a little teeny tiny badge it's got over there. So I will be having a much closer look at that one, because it fascinates me that Diamond Select made another variation of the Excelsior just so they could use it again for a completely different product. But oddly, the box still says USS Excelsior NCC 2000, so they didn't completely retool the box. They just literally put a sticker on it. But it actually looks like it's got different wording on the front, so I'm guessing that the sounds might be different. So we will investigate that in due course. I've got a Playmates Sovereign class Enterprise E. and we've got a Diamond Select Enterprise E. Now, these I did have in my back pocket, so to speak, and one has a box, one does not, but I do have examples of both with boxes, so that will now work out very nicely. I've got a 1701A, which you've already seen, but I've now also got a 1701, which is the Wrath of Khan undamaged Enterprise, which I don't have. So again, for comparison purposes, that's going to be quite interesting. So that's the original refit, and then the ship they borrowed to make a replacement refit Enterprise. Another one that I always thought I would never get, this is the Playmates Enterprise from the 2009 film. So this is what I refer to as the Hot Rod Enterprise, because it's got sort of almost shiny, chromy, sort of, you know, it's sexier, isn't it? It's a sexy Enterprise, this one. But I never thought I'd actually have it. So, you know, that'll be really interesting to have a look at, because that must have come out at a really odd time in terms of Playmates timing, because that's logically got to be much later than the other Playmates things that I've looked at, I think. So that's kind of a curious one. We've got the Enterprise NX-01 there, which you've seen me show you examples of before. Another bird of prey, which is the same sort of one as I got from Gareth's. Now this is the Diamond Select Enterprise D. Very hard to find this, and this could help me pay for all of these, because I do already have one in a box. But interestingly, this box is actually for the All Good Things Enterprise D. So I think I've now got boxes for both, although I suspect that they've pulled an Excelsior here, and all they've done is rebadged, restickered a standard D box and made the little note to say, actually, by the way, this is the All Good Things version. So I don't think that's actually radically different. I've now got another Star Trek transwarping Enterprise in a box. I've also now got another Playmates bird of prey. In fact, I've got another one now. So some of these are going to get moved on, because this is getting a bit silly. I've also got another USS Defiant from Playmates, which again, I haven't shown you up close yet. But now that I've done Deep Space Nine, that was one of the ones on my list, so that will now be eminently showable to you. I've also got this, which is a TOS USS Enterprise, which I don't think I've got as a Diamond Select ship, because they were always quite pricey, and I didn't love it enough that I was going to commit to it. But it's nice because I've got the Playmates one, so I can do the two side by side now. So that's actually really nice. And this is the All Good Things Enterprise D, and it is a complete beast, and it has a very, very interesting little bit of functionality, which I will show you another time up close and personal. So that was just a completely sort of stupendous collection that I in no way ever thought I would land at all. And had I not been going down to Birmingham, I wouldn't have looked at it twice, because it would have been a long way to go to get, you know, quite a few things I've already got, but some things I haven't. So some of these will undoubtedly stay in my collection, because things like the NX-2000 I've literally never heard of before. So I think that's quite a nice one to hold on to. But the two really big Ds, once I figured out which boxes I actually do and don't have, a pair of those could possibly move on, depending on which ones look better. Defiant, I've definitely got to get rid of a Defiant at this point, because I'm going to end up with 3 of them if I'm not careful. I've got the Playmates Enterprise E, I've got a Diamond Select E as well, but I have to remind myself whether or not they were all working. But I've now got a good box for the A, and it's definitely the A box, not the standard box, which is great. So there's a lot of stuff here, but a lot of it I will actually move on. Because a lot of it is just repetition for the sake of repetition, and there's no point, and I don't have the space. So I've now got to figure out what I'm going to do with all of these in the interim before I start getting them up on eBay. If anyone is interested in any of these, and given the crowd that's often watching my videos, you'll know how to get in contact with me. If you are interested in any of the ones I've mentioned that I might be interested in moving on, give me a shout and we can have a chat, because that could well be an option. But just a terrific bunch of Starships to see all in one place. It's just, I don't think you'll ever see the like again, really. And like I say, this guy had obviously been into this line of sort of interest for many years, and has gathered all these over the years. He had Eagle Moss and Franklin Mint and all sorts of stuff that I've only ever sort of seen online before. So he was very, very welcoming. It was nice of him to show me his other stuff, and we clearly had quite a lot in common, as you might imagine. So just a very nice guy to meet. So yeah, definitely a very, very positive eBay transaction when all was said and done, and we'll see how we get on with all of these, and obviously I will add them to the Trek Toys playlist in due course for you. So a little bit of an interlude, I suppose, this particular entry on the playlist. But I figured you'd be interested in seeing this many of them in one place, in there, for the most part, in their packaging. So yeah, stay tuned, and I will work my way through these. Cheers for now.